Ladies and gentlemen, we will go ahead and call this meeting to order. We're a little bit tardy. This is the Laughlin Town Advisory Board meeting at the Laughlin Regional Government Center. Today is June 8th, 2021. It's 1:30 p.m. plus or minus. I'm going to be reading some information that is what we call standard housekeeping. It's information for the public. So social distancing will be practiced during this meeting. You'll be asked to keep appropriate spacing, which is 6 feet away from other meeting attendees. Obviously, if they're from your same family, that's a different situation. Items on the agenda may be taken out of order, and the board may combine 2 or more agenda items for consideration. The board may remove an item.
I hear you very well.
Okay, I'll speak a little louder. The board may remove an item from the agenda or delay discussion relating to an item at any time. No action may be taken on any matter that is not listed on the posted agenda. All planning and zoning matters heard at this meeting are forwarded to the Board of County Commissioners Zoning Commission, known as the BCC, or Clark County Planning Commission, known as the PC, for final action. Please take a moment, I know I have to do this frequently, and turn off or mute any of your cell phones or electronic devices. Okay. And please take all private conversations outside of the room. Within 48 hours, advance request, a sign language interpreter, or other reasonable efforts to assist and accommodate persons with physical disabilities may be made available by calling 702-455-3530 or TDD at 702-385-7486 or Relay Nevada toll-free at 800-326-6868. Supporting material provided to the board members for this meeting may be requested from our secretary, Tammy Harris, and her number is 702-298-0828 and is or will be available on the county website at www.clarkcountynv.gov. If you do not wish to attend this meeting in person but would like to comment on an item appearing on this agenda or provide general public comment, which is heard at the end of this meeting, please submit your comments to tammy.harris@clarkcountynv.gov before 10:30 a.m. on the day of the meeting, which would have been today, which we do have some for us that we'll read into minutes. Please include your name, address, and identify which agenda item you are commenting on or what your comment is for the general public. Comments will be read into the record, and no comments over 3 minutes in length will be read. All comments received will be compiled into a document and shared as part of the meeting's minutes. Your board before you today will go ahead and take a roll call. Pamela Walker. Here. Okay. Herm Walker, no relation.
Here.
Here. Fred Doughton.
Here.
Here. Kathleen Haas, Vice Chair.
Here.
Okay. And I'm Kathy Oakes, your chair. Our secretary, again, as I said earlier, is Tammy Harris. It's TammyHarris. She's available at our town manager's office. If you need that number, it's 702-298-0828. And her email address is tammy.harris@clarkcountynv.gov. And to introduce to the public today, if you are not aware, we now have a new Clark County liaison, Mr. Mark Moskowitz is here before us, so say hello. Nice to have you. We can always use the support from the county, definitely. Very welcome to have you here. Okay. And again, he can be reached at the same town manager's office at 702-298-0828, and his email address is mark.moskowitz@clarkcountynv.gov. It's mark.moskowitz. common spelling, at clarkcountynv.gov. So we've called this meeting to order, and if I can please ask that you all stand. We'll have our invocation led by Pastor Doug Wesley, and we'll have our Pledge Allegiance, and that'll be led by Pamela Walker.
First of all, anybody have any trouble hearing today? Can you hear all the way back there? And nobody's nodding, so I can't hear me, right? You can hear? You can hear? Okay. Okay, all righty, okay. We got some kind of an issue going on here today, and I know there's a lot of people here. Love to see a lot of people come in, but it must be something controversial, and I don't even know what it is. So I could just say that we're a small town, and we're all like a small family, right, Jordan? We're a small family. We all love each other. We all respect each other. And I hope we can all today just say what we need to say and still care about each other. Is that a deal?
Amen.
Amen. Okay, great.
Yeah, the council can do something about these problems.
Okay, well,
The best possible world.
okay, I guess I started something here. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for today, and we just thank you for blessing us with the weather, blessing us and helping with this COVID thing that's starting to slow down. We're so happy about that. We're back to our regular seating. We're back to the things that are normal. And we just lift up before you the concerns that are today. I don't know what they are, but we lift them up before you and give us a wisdom and give us a heart and give us what we need to make the right and proper decisions, to really think this thing through and hear everybody out. Lift up before you our tremendous police department. We here in Laughlin are 100% supportive of our police department. We're very grateful for them. They put their lives on the line. We're grateful for our fire department. We're grateful for our school teachers. We're grateful for Jordan and the work that he does. We just thank you so much for the good people you've given us, and a new town liaison. He seems like a really good man. We thank you so much for the blessings you've given us, and we ask you to continue to do so. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Okay. So we'll move forward to public comment. Now, I'll read what this period is devoted to, because this first portion is a period devoted to comments by the general public about items that are on today's agenda. Okay, there is a section later on that is items that are not on today's agenda. No discussion, action, or vote may be taken on this agenda item. You'll be afforded an opportunity to speak on individual public hearing items at the time they are presented. If you wish to speak to the board about items within its jurisdiction but not appearing on today's agenda, you must wait until the comments by the general public period listed at the end of today's agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, and we do time those. And please step up to our speaker's podium, which is here directly. And if you will state your name and address, and please spell your name for the records. These meetings are recorded, and it's much easier that we have you spell out your name instead of guessing. If any member of the board wishes to extend the length of a presentation, it must be done by the chairperson of the board and by a majority vote. Okay. If you don't wish to attend the meeting in person, but would like to comment on an item appearing on today's agenda, you can always submit in writing before 10:30 in the morning before the day of that meeting. So you would submit your comments to tammy.harris@clarkcountynv.gov before 10:30 a.m. on today's date, which is June 8th. Please include your name, address, and identify which agenda item you are commenting on and your comment. Comments will be read into the record, and no comments over 3 minutes in length will be read. All comments received will be compiled into a document and shared as part of the meeting's minutes. So I think that would include if we stopped reading at 3 minutes and it was written and submitted, the rest would go into the record. For anyone that has a presentation beyond 3 minutes and also has stuff in writing. So I'll move forward to item number 3, which is approval of the minutes of the May 11th, 2021
Madam Chair.
meeting.
We
Yes?
have to have public comment.
Oh,
because-
shoot. Yes, I just know we don't have any agenda items today, so I kind of just went over that. Okay, so we have reports from the community, but we have no planning or zoning items on today's agenda. So if there is any public comment on items on today's agenda. Okay, all right. Hearing none, we'll move forward to approval of the minutes for May 11th, 2021, and approval of, I'll combine those into one item, and approval of the June 8th, 2021 meeting to hold, combine, or delete any items.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Moving forward, item number, or Roman numeral number 5, informational items will start today to receive a report from Lieutenant Rogers with Metro Police Department regarding activity and statistics during the past month and other crime concerns. Hello, Lieutenant.
Hello, thank you, Kathy. And good afternoon to the board. Like I was introduced to Lieutenant Grant Rogers, just giving a recap of last month's stats and police activity here for the city of Laughlin. We responded to 371 calls for service. Compared to last month, it was 388. And if we compare it to last year, kind of in the beginning of COVID, we only had 185 calls. So we're looking just as busy as we ever were before COVID. So which is, kind of some good news that things are getting back on track to normal. And we'll call it a 100% increase from where we were last year. As far as traffic citations, we wrote a total of 368 traffic citations here for the incorporated area of Laughlin. We made 3 DUI arrests. We had 9 arrests for domestic violence, which, on a side note, each victim is afforded. Our victim advocate does respond to all those events, so just if anyone was curious about that. We processed a total of 40 bookings here at our holding facility for the last month, and we wrote 1 ticket to a juvenile, which was actually just a non-resident. So things are looking good and busy, which a lot of events are coming for the next future months. So a lot of training and pre-programming is going on for us. So if there's any questions from the board for Metro?
Any questions out of the board?
No. Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant. Okay. Right. Item number 2 is receive a report from Clark County Fire Department regarding calls for service during the past month and other fire prevention issues. Hello.
Good afternoon to the board. My name is Scott Taggart. I'm captain, Clark County Fire Department. Work right next door. It's Station 76. You probably see the stats I provided for you. The run numbers from last year are up quite a bit, and from last month they're up quite a bit as well. The numbers from last month, in April, 259 calls for service, and for the month of May, 271. So about a little bit of an increase there. The numbers that you see from last year were quite low, so I'm assuming that was because of COVID. But we're back up to speed and up from last year as far as run numbers go. So we've gotten quite busy. You'll also notice on there's a truck 76 was put in service, and you'll see that there's a lot of calls for service for that truck that weren't there last year, and that's new for Laughlin. And
new truck.
that's all I have for you. Nothing unusual as far as calls for service.
Okay. All right. Is there any questions from the board? Okay. I would like, it's Scott Taggart, correct?
Taggart.
Taggart.
Taggard.
A-R-D.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Would it be possible for you to leave your number with our secretary? I just need to reach out to you on some fire prevention issues personally.
Okay.
after the meeting. I just don't want to make you stay till we hit the public comment section.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And on item number 3, which is receive a report from Will Smith and Clark County Water Reclamation District. Hello, regarding status of our wastewater treatment system.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, elected board members. Will Smith, SMITH, Clark County Water Reclamation District with the monthly statistics for May 2021. Laughlin Water Reclamation Center treated an average of 1.79 million gallons a day. Last year, this time, May 2020, it was an average of 1.14 million gallons a day. That is a difference of 650,000 gallons per day from last year at this time. No service complaints, no odor complaints. There were 3 call before you dig Laughlin tickets received for May 2021. And attached to the report, if you will, please see the influent flow comparison chart between last year and this year. And I'm open for any questions for anyone from the board.
Madam Chair.
Please, Mr. Walker.
If Lake Mead acquires an emergency status, which appears to be inevitable, what impact will that have on Laughlin?
Oh, that will be more of a question related to the Big Bend Water District. I'm with the Water Reclamation.
I understand, but you're all dealing with water, and
Well, as far as the treatment, I mean, it wouldn't impact anything we are treating. We would treat the amount that's coming in and we're gonna issue out. So I really don't know how to answer that question for you now.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? No? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
And number 4, receive a report from Jason Bailey with the Big Bend Water District regarding the status of the water system and discuss water conservation for consumers.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Jason Bailey with the Big Bend Water District with the monthly report. For May 2021, we had 298 acre feet diverted from the river. A year to date, that's 1,213 acre feet, pretty much on par with last year at 1,231 acre feet. We are down, if you compare to 2019, about 120 acre feet. So moving into these hot summer months, the next 4 months, water usage increases, so we'll kind of see how that goes. No major leaks or issues to report. And just to kind of comment on Mr. Walker's question about the shortage that could potentially happen, likely to happen January 1st, that won't affect the allocation given to the Big Bend Water District. So currently, last year, I guess, the Big Bend Water District used about 3,500 acre feet of water, and the allocation is larger than that. So
15,000.
so it won't affect that 15,000 acre feet of water. That concludes my report.
Any questions out of the board, Mr. Walker? Did you have further questions? I do, but
Well, in the caption on this, it says, discuss water conservation measures.
Yeah, so
What's going on?
yeah, absolutely. Last month, I brought some information about some of our conservation programs. A recent legislation that passed this last session was AB 356, which was signed into law by the Nevada governor this week or last week, and that states that all non-functional grass will be removed by the year 2026, and non-functional grass would be grass that's found kind of outside of sidewalks or in medians or in roundabouts, entrances to HOA. It's kind of defined as grass that the only person who walks on it is the person who's mowing it. So this does not impact or affect single-family residences. It does not impact or affect schools or parks or anything like that. And this legislation looks to save about 9.5 billion gallons of water every year.
wow.
So that's the newest kind of conservation effort, along with all of the others that we have kind of in our arsenal.
And I believe last month you left some brochures and information on the back
Correct.
table. If you wouldn't mind, we have the circulars out here. I think there was information that you guys had on conservation and contacts and stuff in the little displays that spin around, but it is empty. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm assuming that's acceptable within the county building, because I know we have abatement and different stuff out there, just to keep some of that information for the public.
Absolutely.
And then maybe if you drop some off at our chamber, because a lot of people that relocate to Laughlin from outlying communities and stuff, they get a kind of a welcome packet from the chamber, and if they buy a house that maybe has grass and want to know about the incentives.
Perfect. Great
So that
idea.
would be
Yep,
great.
absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Herm, anything else? Okay, all right. Any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thanks.
And item number 5 is to receive a report from Parks and Recreation regarding the status of programs and upcoming activities. Oh, I'm sorry, they're not here today. Do you want me to go ahead and read this? Okay. So this, although they couldn't be with us today, they did send us a report and their statistics, because they're just reopening. I believe they just reopened 15th of May, was it? I think. Yeah, they had 9 programs, and in May, even though it was a partial month for them, they had 240 visits. Of course, that's going to be slow as people, get back to normal. Effective June 1st, Clark County returned to pre-pandemic guidelines at Parks and Recreation. That means that restrictions involving capacity limits, social distancing, large gatherings, and limitations on certain social activities are no longer in effect. If you are not vaccinated, we ask that you wear a face mask while visiting Clark County facilities. The programs at our Clark County Parks and Rec Center are as follows. On Monday, they have ladder ball from 9 a.m. to 11, and they have cornhole from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and hand and foot from 1 to 4. Tuesday, they have knitting and quilting from 9 a.m. to 11, and pinochle from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Wednesdays, they have Stay Fit Seniors from 8:30 in the morning to 9:30. They have bingo from 10:30 to 1, and 5 crowns from 1 to 4. Thursdays is mahjong, and that is from 10 a.m. to 2, and bridge from 12:30 to 4. And if you need any additional contact for our specialist, their office is at 702-298-3413. Okay. Receive a report from Haley Mayo, University of Nevada Cooperative Extension, regarding the status of programs and upcoming activities. Hello.
Hi. Thank you for reading my stuff last month when I was not able to be here, but glad to be back. The community garden is sprouting, and it's available to be checked out by the public. And if you would like to make an appointment, you can do that by emailing me at hmaio@unr.edu or by calling my office at 702-299-1333, and I'll set you up with an appointment with either myself or one of our many master gardeners so you can go check it out and see what we have sprouting. I'm also currently working on a sign to get put on the side of the fence that surrounds the garden, so when people walk past it, they know what it is. It's located at the park on Needles Highway by the Recreation Center. 4-H is planning a summer camp in July, and it will be open to all youth ages 5 through 18. And as a reminder, 4-H is open to all youth of those ages, whether they're enrolled in public school or homeschool. The more kids that we're able to enrich and serve with positive youth development, the better. And lastly, the community-based instructor position is still open and currently recruiting. So if you or anybody you know is interested in supervising and running the 4-H programs for both Laughlin and Searchlight. The posting can be found on Indeed or the UNR website, or if you wanted to contact myself at the same email as before, I can get you the posting. Questions?
Any questions from the board? No? Okay. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Haley. Okay. And receive a report from Jackie Whalen of the Laughlin Chamber of Commerce regarding current and upcoming business activities in Laughlin. And while she's also there, she'll be giving a report with a different hat from the Laughlin Tourism Commission regarding current and upcoming events and activities. For those of you that haven't been to our meeting, she stays up there for a while.
Good afternoon, and welcome, Mark. We appreciate you being here and look forward to collaborating on a lot of things to work on together. So far, the Laughlin Chamber Water Flow Committee is still meeting every month, sometimes more than that, to address the water flows. If you didn't know, we have signed objection letters for the Lake Powell pipeline, and if you haven't researched that lately, the state of Utah has created a silent committee that is being paid by the state, and they meet under closed doors about supporting the Lake Powell pipeline and supporting its use, as opposed to those of us who are opposing the water movement. The one fact that you need to remember is that there are Utah residents that use 38% more water per capita than those of us in outlying states. So when you look up the Lake Powell pipeline, you'll understand why we object to the Lake Powell pipeline's removal of water. We did have a low flow event in the last couple weeks, so for the scientists to do some studies on the cycles of the caddisfly, the life cycles of the caddisfly. Studies on the black fly and the mosquito have been performed also, with application being made with help of the water taxis. On June 3rd, we had a low flow event. The river was in perfect shape for us to do a cleanup on both sides of the river. All the resorts participated, and volunteers did areas where the resorts didn't go, and we picked out a lot of trash. I don't remember how many tons they told me, but we did remove a lot of trash, tires, old floaties, beer cans, those kind of things, and it looks pretty good. But at that same time, the PhDs and scientists from around the world will be able to study the larvae, pupae, and their emergence stages of the caddisfly. Those studies are going very well. Chef's Food Fest is not just postponed, it's canceled. Chef's Food Fest was founded and put on by the chefs originally back in the day, 32 years ago. There is no way that we can ask a resort staff of culinary experts and short-staffed people to come out and play with us this month and celebrate their challenge when they don't have enough staff as it is. So we're not just postponing, we are actually canceling until next June. Community Achievement Awards is still on the calendar, though, and we're taking applications. I have left some applications in the back. That will be October 23rd as slated now, but I don't know. Toby Keith moved in on October 23rd, so we may have to change it. But we are planning for October, so if you want to nominate somebody for the Community Achievement Awards in one of the 11 categories, those are back there. We do have a joint mixer for both states at the Anderson Auto Group Fieldhouse on the 22nd. It's going to be lots of fun, and we're going to get to know more of our neighbors on the other side of the river. Networking and educating opportunities start back in July at the Chamber through our networking foundation, and you're all welcome. Just have to sign up and come see what we have for topics and who we have for speakers. The Volunteers in Partnership are helping for town-wide events still. They just went last weekend and helped at the Family Fun Festival at the Anderson Auto Group Fieldhouse, and it provided a whole day of fun for families and children to get out of the heat and play some real outdoor games, but in an air-conditioned environment. We're still doing a throw in the towel for Someone in Need program. If you can just drop all of your gently used or new, whatever you want, towels at the chamber, we're taking them to the homeless shelters. That was their number 2 ask after water. So just drop them off at our office and we're delivering them for you. Membership has increased to 305. We attribute that most to the services that we've been able to be creative with and increased over last year. Laughlin's percent of that membership is 28%. COVID-19 partnership and events, we had the last one on May 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, where the mobile vaccination unit came. We did close to another 300 for those 3 days, and the volunteers helped. It was a nice mix of FEMA, National Guard, NHP came and helped us every day, and Metro came by and checked on us every day. So it was a really nice community effort, and we did walk-ins, drive-ups, and we did all 3, Moderna, Pfizer, and the Johnson & Johnson.
And it wasn't 1,000,000 degrees.
It wasn't. Well, we have those big coolers, so it works out really well. The next visit for vaccinations or testing has not been determined yet, but it will be determined by the Governor's Office of Economic Development or Clark County, and they will let us know. The last event on PBS Outdoor Nevada that's going to show for our region will be tomorrow night at 7:30 on PBS Nevada Outdoors. And it's going to be the Heritage Park Trails and Bureau of Reclamation at Davis Dam. We are trying hard to raise money for Laughlin High School's scoreboard. So Laughlin Rotary is left us some tickets, and we are selling tickets for $10 a piece. 100% of that money goes to the kitty to buy Laughlin High School a new scoreboard. They've got the field and they've got the track. I suspect that they've been talking about, and they're very happy about it, but they don't have a scoreboard. The prices are really nice, including huge TVs and all kinds of summer stuff. So if you need a ticket, just come on by, and they're $10. And that's it for Chamber.
Any questions regarding the chamber? No. Okay. Your next hat, Laughlin Tourism Commission.
Laughlin Tourism Commission is happy to announce that you will be seeing fireworks on 4th of July at 9 o'clock, simulcast by Murphy Broadcasting at 9 o'clock on 104.9 KISS FM. Remember that you do not have to stand on a sidewalk or sit on a beach or be in a vessel. You can park your car just about anywhere within 3 miles and see the majority of the fireworks. Sometimes it's hard to see the ground cannons, but you can see them, and it's simulcast sing-alongs, and we have a really nice list of music this year.
So 104.9 will be playing the music synchronized to the fireworks for
correct.
people. If they pull over in their car, set the radio station.
Yes. Okay. It's shot off at the Don Laughlin property on the Arizona side. It's north of the jet ski business and south of, right across the street from the old post office.
Yep. That asphalt fenced off area.
There is 2,000 feet in diameter fallout zone, so you can't get too close, but you can park just about anywhere, by the airport, around, anywhere. Best in the Desert's coming twice in September. World's Toughest Mudder World Championships is coming twice. Run Laughlin, the marathon's coming again in December, and then SNOR, Southern Nevada Off-Road Enthusiasts, is coming. I could list off all of these concerts that we have coming, but it would take a lot of time, and I would encourage you to go to visit Laughlin.com, Ticketmaster.com, LaughlinEventCenter.com, or HarrisLaughlin.com for your most recent listing of town-wide events for all of the event centers, East Center, LEC, and for the Rio Vista Amphitheater. I'd like to tell you that we did a great job this last year, and I brought you the samples so everyone could see the billboards that we put up. I can give you these, Tammy, if you want to show a couple of them. So we applied and got a really nice grant from Nevada Tourism or Travel Nevada. so that we could get more interested parties in our destination. We got a grant for digital billboards, and I think we did pretty good. We did, Laughlin is open and welcomes you safely. Laughlin is weekend worthy. These are the ones that actually went through Phoenix, and they actually say that you could be here in 3.5 hours. We highlighted everything that's outside so that people would know that they could come here, stay in a resort, and then also get out during the day and stay away from people. These finished in January. And we were thinking about putting back up again, but it shows all of our outdoor sports, and you notice there aren't any resorts in it because we're trying to sell the openness of our valley, our whole Colorado River Valley. So it worked out really well, along with 12,500 of our guides going to 899 distribution sites in the West United States and Canada. And then we also built the new website at laughlinchamber.com that includes tourism, visitor center, townwide events, and the chamber.
And I'll add, it's a very professionally done, very nice site, and the video and stuff in there is wonderful.
The state of Nevada really helped us highlight this destination, the whole tri-state, so it's really nice. I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, Herm?
Herm?
Jackie, this will be the third time, I think, that we've talked about the signage on I-11. And has anything been done, has NDOT been approached about this?
So, Mark, in our visit, he will attest to you that in the outline that I went over with our senator who visited us on Friday, we had the senator in my office, and we spent almost 2 hours with her talking about the issues, no matter how small or how big. And when I told her on her way home back to Vegas that she needed to count the number of Laughlin signs, she laughed when I told her there was only one between downtown Laughlin and the Laughlin turnoff at Nevada 95 South. And she didn't think that I was right. I think when she got home, she realized there is only one. They say Boulder City, Searchlight, and Needles. They do not say Laughlin. And that Laughlin Junction there at 163 in Nevada 95, that's the only one you get from the time you leave the strip.
Well, I guess we know the problem. Is there anything done to get a solution?
No, but she is going to help me. So that was a nice thing. She said, I'll help you guys get what you need.
Another omission is if you're coming from Nipton into Searchlight, then that sign directs you to Needles.
Yes. None of them say, anything that says Needles, Boulder City, or Searchlight does not include Laughlin.
So in our next conversation with the senator, maybe just mention the Nipton cutoff as well.
Okay.
Because it doesn't say Laughlin either.
Okay.
It says Searchlight and Needles, but not Laughlin.
And I don't pay attention when I'm coming through there on my Harley.
I forget it's commonly known as the Nipton cutoff, but I think it actually has a road number, a Nevada road number.
It does.
Yeah. Or Clark County road
maybe
number.
if we had Nevada Highway Patrol out here, they'd probably know. Or Metro maybe, but.
Any other questions?
Any other questions from the board?
Do you know if the county let a contract for the road work on the bridge?
Yes, I believe that's all done. But I can't.
The RFP, the request
Got
for
the top
proposal, and
tier
the contract
liaison.
was awarded a week ago or a couple weeks ago?
Yes, but I don't want to speak on Clark County things. I could be wrong.
Almost a month ago, but
Yes.
Was it that long? I've been moving, so I have no concept of time. I'm just in a perpetual boxing and unboxing mode.
I'll just address, that was the question. The RFP hasn't been approved through Clark County, so construction should start soon.
Okay,
That is correct.
If there aren't any more questions,
okay. Mr. Markowitz, yes?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was approved by the Board of County Commissioners, I believe in May, don't quote me on that. And now they're working through the process to get purchasing, to get all the contracts, bonds, and insurance. Once they get that, they can do the materials notice to proceed, which means that they will get all the materials and then they'll start construction. So I'm working closely with Public Works, and I will be aware of anything and let everyone know.
Okay.
Thank
Bob Lucas, is he your contact, or is it?
Yes, Bob
Yeah.
Luke is the contact for the Laughlin Bridge.
We also made him aware of the signage issue too. I don't know, because he's not Nevada, he's Clark County, but
Correct, yeah.
I'm sure he knows a few people in
Yeah,
Nevada.
if
and
it
not.
isn't, and not better, if it's a state road, unfortunately, Clark County won't have jurisdiction.
Yeah, I know, but I'm sure he has friends.
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right, no more questions of our Laughlin Tourism Commission and Chamber. Receive a report from Tanya Brownworth with the Laughlin Library regarding current and upcoming activities. For discussion only? Oh, okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. Tanya couldn't be here today, so I'm in her place. My name's John Hollod, Holod. We're back open to full capacity at the library. Programming is going to be returning, beginning with our annual book sale, which is going to take place for a full week, beginning on July 30th and ending on August 6th. We're now offering subscription bags where we provide tailor-made packages for our patrons on a monthly basis. They can sign up for that at the information desk if they come in. Our monthly trivia night is going to be coming back starting in August, but the date hasn't been finalized yet. We've begun offering 3D printing services free of charge for our patrons. They can bring us a file on a flash drive or a CD, and we can print their designs.
In 3D?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 3D plastic for now. We may be getting a new 3D printer that can print other materials, but for right now, it's plastic.
But that's a great service that's free.
Yeah. There are some restrictions on the size and the color and exactly what type of items can be printed. And they can find those guidelines on the Library District website, and we also have flyers as well.
Is the school aware of it?
I believe so,
Okay.
yeah. Just as a warning, sometimes the prints can take a long time, and the machine's a bit finicky. When it works, it's great. When it doesn't, it's a disaster, but we'll get it printed eventually. We're still offering our take and make crafts. Right now, we've got origami kits, a mosaic art kit, a Minecraft-inspired glowing wand kit, marble art kits, and felt banner kits. Even when the world goes back to relative normal, we think we're going to continue offering those because people seem to really enjoy them. And lastly, our indoor book drop is open again. Patrons can return stuff inside and as well as outside, which we haven't been doing for the last year because we were quarantining materials. And you can also get your own hold items off the hold shelf, which we haven't been doing to try to minimize potential transmission. If you do that, just remember actually check your items out. Don't just walk out the door, and make sure the DVD cases and CD cases are unlocked, because once you get home, too late. That's it. Any questions I can answer for you?
Any questions of the library? No? No? Thank you, Mr.
All
Harmon.
right, thanks.
Okay. Moving forward to number 10, this is announcements of upcoming neighborhood meetings and county or county meetings and events. This is for discussion only. Are there any announcements or discussions from the board? Okay. No. I did want to bring up one that I guess deals with community meetings and county. Tammy again, I'm sorry. But there was one of the things that was brought up pertaining to the motorsports park that we didn't do in our presentation at the last meeting was the property that we have operated SCORE out of and PBR for years, just right up the street here. So we just didn't encompass it, even though it's public facilities land and Clark County land. So I believe, as they're going forward with the feasibility study, they were hoping to get some information from our archives here, because I believe there was other feasibility studies and stuff done maybe 2005, 2007 through Deborah Murray. If those were available, if we could make those, or at least have access to those for the county, or from the county for the individuals doing the feasibility study.
Okay, and we're talking about the up in the corner?
Just right up here, yeah, right up here. Okay. All righty. Any other announcements Okay. We'll move forward to planning and zoning. Before us today, we have no planning and zoning items, and general business items, we have none. So then I'm going to move forward to what seems to be the anticipated event of the day. So that's going to be item Roman numeral number 8, and that is comments by the general public. This is a period of comments by the general public about matters relevant to the board's jurisdiction will be held. No vote may be taken on any matter not listed on the posted agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and I have asked our secretary to have a timer today because there are lots of you. Please step up to our speaker's podium, state your name and address, and spell your name for the record. Again, we're recorded, and it'll be much easier for us to, transcribe the minutes if we have the actual spelling instead of guessing. If any member of the board wishes to extend the length of a presentation, this will be done by the chair or board by majority vote. And seeing the number of people that are with us today, I don't think we'll be extending time. One of the statements that I wanted to make clear to the audience today is the fact that as a local business owner, I do pay attention to the Laughlin rants and raves. I've found my own businesses there when we've made mistakes, and I've reached out to the individual to try and make corrections. So I am aware that there are some issues that have come before on the Laughlin rant and rave that deal with some of the conditions and rental properties and stuff within the community, rent increases and things like that. So I am aware of that. And I figured, because I saw in the comments that people would be coming before us, and we definitely welcome the input. I love seeing all of you here today, and we're very excited to hear from you. This is what you have elected us for. This is why you live in Laughlin, so that we can hear these things and we can maybe help the situation. But I will let you know if there are, I know myself personally, we cannot legally dictate the rent dollar amounts that the landlords choose to charge. We can't legislate that. We can't dictate that for them. Just like me, I own restaurants, and the market sets my price, because otherwise I can't, if I am overcharging. No, I'm not going to have that. I won't have that in my forum, please. So what I am saying is our job here today, from what I've been able to tell, will be, we will want to listen to you, and we want to get some things that we can actually get our teeth into. So by that I mean things that we can forward to agencies. If there's code violations, ADA, if we have sewage, if we have trash, if we have unsanitary conditions in the swimming pool with the health department, we can get those things, we'll take notes, and we can get those things forwarded to the appropriate agencies. And supply and demand will dictate that. So we will try and do what we can to help with the situation. In my opinion, if they're going to be charging more rent, it needs to be a pristine type environment. We can't dictate that, but what we can do is try and help you. And also, the town manager's office is available to you to look into other options. I know I'm personally moving myself, and it's not fun at all, but there are some income qualifications that and some newer complexes that are available that we can also help you make arrangements for that. And one of the first people that is here today that may have some information, so those of you that are going to be speaking, if you will go ahead and maybe take some notes. Our constable, Jordan Ross, is here with us today, and he may have some directions for you people to take your complaints and take those issues that we can get a hold of. Rest assured that we will also follow up with it and see it through so that we can maybe get some of these issues resolved. But I think Jordan will have maybe some answers or some efficient, practical methods to go forward. Jordan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Jordan Ross, Constable. I have been inundated with a multiplicity of housing complaints, and I'm going to try and address some of them today, and as well as express to the board and to the public some of my frustration of the limitations that we're facing. Laughlin, as is the rest of the nation, is in the midst of some rental price increases as leases expire that will be devastating to many tenants, particularly those still unemployed from the pandemic, the working poor, and the many seniors on fixed incomes in this township. I've already received numerous calls from tenants describing as much as $400 to $500 a month rent increases. The increases are happening as landlords struggle to recover losses experienced during the pandemic. Nonetheless, the human cost must be the first and foremost thing on our minds as we look for solutions to these rental market adjustments. Thank you. My office has reached out to the state-chartered nonprofit corporation, Nevada Means Home Incorporated, for advice in providing outreach support to landlords in the processing of CHAPS applications, which have been seriously delayed. This has been made easier by the recent passage of AB 486, which has been signed into law by Governor Sisolak. This will help tenants clear up back due rent and help landlords control the inevitable increases in rent. Once I have the necessary information, I will meet with landlords. I was just speaking with Gino about this earlier. He's taken over the monthly meetings with property managers here in Laughlin, and I will be meeting with them to provide support in processing CHAPS applications to help people get caught up on back rent.
Will you define CHAPS, the acronym, please?
Yes, ma'am. That's the CHAPS stands for the CARES Housing Assistance Program, which assists residents of Clark County who have suffered substantial financial hardship and now lack sufficient income or resources to pay their rental housing costs and utilities because of the COVID-19 emergency or the response to that emergency. And this will let them basically get caught up and wipe the slate clean. On another housing-related topic, I'm receiving complaints about housing-related scams, especially utility shutoff scams. Residents should be skeptical of any such calls, and if they are concerned, call the constable for advice. Just informally, I'm noticing an increase in habitability complaints. I was trying to deal with one this morning. The Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada has been very helpful in providing some guidance, but again, we have limited abilities to deal with these things. I want to make clear that my own authority in terms of any county code citation is limited strictly to Title 14, which covers parking violations. All other code enforcement violations have to be referred to the county code enforcement department. Now, on that topic, please understand, and I can take more questions as you need, and I'll answer them as best I can because it's not my specialty, but the county code is more limited in what they do and don't prohibit than many people are perhaps aware of. In addition to which, some things, if it really is a case of negligence, it can be much more difficult to get a citation issued. Now, I want to point out, lastly, it must be understood that none of this is a permanent solution. That can only come from addressing the core problem, which is an insufficient housing supply that is not only driving rental prices up, but also home purchasing prices up as well. All of this is affecting those Americans least able to afford it. I am drafting a green paper to discuss with several stakeholders, including Nevada's congressional delegation, to suggest several possible low-cost solutions, including encouraging the chartering of nonprofit housing developers. But these are long-term solutions. We have an immediate crisis that we're beginning to see the first crest of. Madam Chair, if there are any questions, and I'm sure there are.
I'm sure we have from the board, but one of the questions that I had looked at, since the pandemic, I'm no longer a landlord. I've sold all my homes as the financial need required. So one of the things that I was slightly made aware of where we gave a forbearance of rent during the pandemic, there was talk about landlords and property owners having stimulus monies to come in to supplement where we didn't receive rent during that time frame. Did that ever come to fruition? I didn't follow it because, again, I sold my
Actually,
homes.
that money is being directed through the CHAPS program, and that's what it's designed to do.
So it's for landlords as well as the renters?
Short version. The CHAPS program was designed to provide additional funding directly to tenants to be able to get caught up on their back rent. The checks are made out to their landlords, but it had to be applied by the tenants. Now with AB 486, landlords can get directly involved with this to recover their back rent.
Correct.
So, but what we want to do is we want to help tenants to get these applications filled out so they can clean up their credit history. We want them to be able to have a clean slate on the back rent that is owed. I will tell you, there have been tens of millions of dollars sitting in this fund now here for Nevada that has not been used. So this is a great time for people to get on this. But I do understand the application process can be difficult, and I hope within a couple of weeks at the most to be able to set up, to be able to reach out for both tenants and landlords to help them get these application forms filled out, get their back rent paid, and wipe the slate clean.
Yeah, if there's anyone from the governor's office or something that could assist in that, because our population, a lot of our seniors don't do the computers.
No,
And-
that's
and
why
that
we'll
is-
be able to just call my office, and one way or another, we'll get somebody out to help them.
Madam Chair,
Madam, please.
not everyone was not paying their rent. And I've had numerous calls up at the post, veterans, seniors alike, been paying their rent on time, the whole COVID, and now all of a sudden, $500 to $600 rent increase, fixed income. How do they pay those increases? Chaps
Would you want me to
doesn't
be
work for
blunt?
that.
Commander Walk?
Okay.
Ma'am?
You'll have a chance to speak, please.
Yeah. Sir? That's not how it works. Thank you, Madam Chair, with your permission. To answer the question bluntly, there are going to be many people who aren't. I'm in particular concerned about.
Okay, enough. Hey, keep it down.
To be blunt, there are going to be people who aren't. There are going to be people who are going to have to move, and that's going to mean moving to Arizona, moving to Las Vegas. We're not going to have solutions for those people because we can't. We have people who simply are on fixed incomes, and they're just making it now, and they're not going to. Now, we will do everything out of my office we can to have people coordinate for whatever additional assistance with the Family Resource Center, the East Valley Family Services. Some people may need SNAP cards to help them with food assistance, but for a lot of people, they're not going to be able to make up that gap. I can't tell you anything other than the truth. There are going to be people who are going to be forced out of their homes here in Laughlin. There's just no two ways about it. I would like to get as much of the CHAPS funding into the community as possible so that we can impress upon landlords, we're doing what we can to get you your back rent. You need to please, as much as possible, dial back on the rent increases. But no, there are going to be people who are going to be flat out of luck, and that's on the people who are basically, again, they're exploiting the fact that we have an insufficient housing supply, and I just can't fix that in less than a couple of years.
What is the availability of, we have some subsidized housing. Are they all full? Is there a wait list? What is it we have? Enough. This doesn't help. It really doesn't help. No, I'll tell you, I'm not gonna have this. Please,
Okay, so.
If you want us to help, let's find a solution.
I understand people's frustration. Unfortunately, in the one, Riverside right now has for one bedroom units, there's a 2-year wait. 3-bedroom units are the most available, and even those are somewhere, it's been about 30 days since I've checked, but somewhere between 6 months and a year. There's nothing. So the supply is just too small. So there are immediate things we can do, trying to help people who've got back rent with the CHAPS program. There will be some work that we can do with East Valley Family Services and the River Fund in terms of some emergency assistance. But long-term, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to work with people to help them find relocation. Sadly, my hands are tied. Like I said, I can't produce a new apartment building, which we could sorely use. I can't produce a new apartment building, in the next couple of weeks.
I see.
Yes, ma'am.
Any
other questions?
Any other input from the board?
I have a question.
Kathleen, please.
I understand where everyone's coming from because I myself have gotten some of these emails and I'm trying to look into it. It's not a thing that we're going to fix overnight. And I do, from the emails I'm getting and from what I'm hearing, it's not a fact of how we're going to fix what happened during COVID and get money to those landlords. It's more of how are we going to address going forward and how are we going to fix now? We have code violations, we have rent increases. This is something that we need to try and address now, not by encouraging you to all go find a new place in Bullhead, but to see what your actual issue is so we can start addressing it here and see how we can help you. Some of these CHAMPS money might be able to help you in these situations, but we need to hear calmly, please, what your issues are today going forward. We know that everyone has come through COVID. It has not been easy for any of us, and we understand that. But going forward, we want to hear what your issues are and see what we can do to help you. So we're not here ignoring the fact of not understanding why you're saying and why you're here. We do. But again, we have to hear you individually and preferably calmly so we can understand, take notes, and see where we can go.
Madam Chair, if I may?
Please.
Just in closing, this is kind of the culmination of the frustration I've had for the last 10 years in, constant habitability issues.
Define that.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it might mean something different to me than it does to you.
State law provides that a landlord has to meet certain minimal standards of habitability. That can be a complicated set of statutes to wade through, and I get a lot of those, but they've been increasing more and more. I mean, I've been frustrated because, to be perfectly honest, and I understand the financial pressures, but there's been increasing amounts of deferred maintenance in certain properties in Laughlin, and landlords have not been addressing them, or they've been doing so only in the minimal amount, and there's only so much pressure I can put on them. At some point, they just tell me to leave. They're not gonna deal with it. I don't have citation authority for these habitability violations, and unfortunately, Nevada being a relatively landlord-friendly state, the statutes themselves, to be honest, the habitability violations have got to be pretty serious before people can take action. Now, I will tell you there are provisions, and people need to be very careful about how they go about doing this. There are provisions with people who are renters who have habitability issues, plumbing, electrical, structural, sanitary, in which they can send a letter. It has to be drafted in a particular way, and it's available from the Self-Help Center or the Legal Aid Center to the landlord and saying, this is an issue, I'm not paying my rent. But when you do that, you then have to take that rent and come down to the courthouse and pay your rent to the clerk. All right, if you do that, then you can go and then you can get your hearing before the judge, and either they fix it or they don't get their rent, or some portion of it. I'm not familiar entirely how it works. But people need to be very clear, yes, there are some minimal habitability, but you can't just not pay your rent. You have to go through that process. You have to send a letter. You have to pay your rent to the court. But I hear these people's frustrations.
Has your office done those particular petitions?
We have guided a few people through it over the years, but and I do not know how the court has processed each of those. But that's ultimately for the judge to decide, not for us to decide. I've been banging my head against this for 10 years, and I'm not surprised that people's nerves are a little on edge. But we do have to ask, go forward in a logical, progressive manner that's orderly,
and find a solution,
and find solutions as best we can. But to address what Commander Walker said, we're not going to find solutions for everybody.
Yeah, and ultimately, we
I'd be
can't
lying if I
dictate
said
the
otherwise.
pricing. We
Yes.
can't dictate the pricing that the landlord is charging. So,
Ma'am? With your permission?
please, go ahead.
No, what I'm working with directly is the Department of Housing. And the situation, from a statutory perspective, getting something fixed right now, because I've had several people ask me about rent control. Here's the short answer on rent control. There's nothing in Nevada statutes that would permit rent control. The legislature just finished meeting, so even if it were theoretically possible from a political basis to get it passed, that's 2 years away. And the county, my best understanding, I'm not an attorney, but my best understanding is the County Board of Commissioners does not have the authority to make an amendment to the county code imposing rent control. It's different in other states, but that's the situation in Nevada. So rent control is not on the table anytime, less than 2 years away. And I don't think that there would be the political wherewithal for it. So that, unfortunately, is not an issue. I know a lot of people have asked me about that. I know many of you have been asked that, but that's the situation. Rent control, unfortunately, is not. I'm going to be doing what I can with the Department of Housing and with the organization established by the state, Nevada Means Home Incorporated, to see what we can to ameliorate this. But it's do what we can. But I don't want to lie to anybody that I've got magic solutions.
All right, will you stay present and
Yes,
to
ma'am.
hear this? Okay. So if there's another person that'd like to take the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. Ashlyn Bilbray Sains, SAINZ, 1631 Cal Edison Drive, Suite A6, Laughlin, Nevada. Have some comments to make in regards, Dawn Estes, principal of Laughlin and Bennett Elementary, has asked me to come on her behalf. She was supposed to come today, but she wasn't able to. In regards to two of the largest educational bills that has passed and signed yesterday from Governor Sisolak, and Superintendent Jara was there as well. And these are the largest bills to affect Laughlin for our education here. One is AB 495. And that is a bipartisan effort of the mining industry and the state's largest teachers union coming together. And they have given over $550 million to the school Board of Education. And John will have updates on those as to how much the school district will get and then how much Laughlin could get. Another one that, as I'm chairman of the school organization team, and I have been working slowly hard on this for the last 6 months, when the bill got introduced, was SB 450. Our state senator Joe Hardy was a sponsor of this. My cousin Shannon Bilbray was a sponsor of this, and so I've really used my resources as much as I could. And this is basically an authorization for school boards to issue bonds for another additional 10 years to do repairs, replacements, and build new schools. Our Bennett Elementary is deteriorating. I'm sure you've heard this. I've been working on this for the last 6 years, and now Laughlin is earmarked $60 million. And so we will be getting a new Bennett Elementary School, and we will be getting a middle school auxiliary gym for up at the high school. So Dawn will be coming back probably next month with her boss and stuff sometime in the summertime to give you guys some updates in regards to that and some more information. But
Are they building it by the high school?
so that's,
Yeah, not where
I'm not going to
Bennett
release
is
any
now.
information yet today,
Oh,
but no, you're okay. So I'll let her do all that, but I just wanted to at least bring the great news. The governor signed it yesterday, so we are like ecstatic on the school campuses about for the kids. So
Very good.
thank
very
you.
good. Thank you for all your effort. Okay, is there any other public comment? Okay, so if you'll please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. And again, we are limited to 3 minutes, and we'd like to hear what you have to say, please.
Okay, first off, I've got a question, because there's several of us.
Yes.
Coming from the same complex. That's
Same
why-
okay,
Okay, and we got one person that the majority of us want to be able to speak for us. So
Okay.
if we can all give up our time for him,
yeah.
can we do that?
I can't do that, no,
Okay.
but you can,
Because he's got a lot of documentation and stuff that we've been trying to get out here, and he's got the majority of everything we do. But my name is Bronwyn McKelvey. It's BRONWYN. Last name McKelvey, McKelv, V as in Victor, Y. I live at Crown Point Apartments, 3665 Needles Highway. And you will hear a lot of issues. And yes, a lot of ours is the rent increases that y'all have been talking
And
about.
what is those rent increases, 5
Anywhere
to
from
600?
$400 to $600, and it is not uniform. It depends on who you are.
And these are at the termination of the leases?
At the end of your lease, 60 days prior to the end of your lease, they give you this little note to tell you, this is what your rent's gonna be. If you sign a 12-month lease, it's only this much. If you sign a 6-month lease, it's this much. If you sign a 3-month lease, it's this much. If you go month to month, it's gonna be this much.
And that
There is
60
no
days notice is
uniformity.
what's called out for in your current leases, that they notify you 60 days?
Yes.
Okay.
And this, I mean, there's no uniformity. We have people that signed leases in this month that are paying this price. People that signed leases in this month, they're paying a totally different price for the exact same apartment. And this is where our problem lies. There has to be uniformity. If you're gonna call it rent increases due to the market value, there has to be a uniformity. I called the other day after hearing everything that was going on and asked, because my lease is up at the end of September, what does it look like? Am I going to be paying $500 more? Oh, well, we don't know what the rent's going to be like in September. Come on, people. You're going to tell me there's a different rent increase every month?
So
And they are
you're
literally
stating
going
that
anywhere
this
from
is...
$400 to $600 up in price.
So
on
you're
something-
saying that this is arbitrary in how they're doing it, okay?
Exactly. And
So
we
those
don't
are
have-
issues that could be,
Yes.
applicable, okay?
Exact- We don't have laundry facilities that work completely functional all the time. We have a pool. Correct me if I'm wrong, we've just been a year of everything shut down for COVID. Can you explain to me now that everything's open, why they've decided now to resurface our pools? So we still can't use our pool?
Okay.
The government says we can, but the apartment complex, who's had a year to fix it, hasn't bothered.
Okay, we'll take those, and we appreciate you for your comment. That is the 3 minutes. And if there is something you guys have in writing, please understand, you can also give that to us as well, so we can review that. Okay, I don't want anyone, if 3 minutes is all that you have today, if you have something in writing, you can give a 3-minute presentation, and then whatever else you have that's documentation, you can certainly leave with us, because this issue doesn't end when this meeting is over. Not for any of us. I don't think we want to be able to help if we're able to. Sir, please state your name and address for the record.
Nick Catalano, Catalano. I'm at 3665 South Needles Highway, Crown Point.
Okay.
And you were mentioning pristine conditions. This place is like a ghetto.
So give me examples. What do you have? Do you have like ADA problems where the sidewalks, you can't run a wheelchair across them? Do you have sewage? Do you have trash? Please, just give the gentleman.
The trash for 5 weeks was all over the section I was at. I called these people. I said, please come out here and start picking this trash up.
These people being the management of Crown Point. Management.
Sometimes they ride up the hill, they looking right at it, and they don't do anything about it. I was paying for a dog that I had. It's supposed to go towards dog bags, never got them. For 5 or 6 weeks we'd be without them. As the lady said, the pool has been closed. The laundry rooms, there's 2 of them, are pigsties. Half the machines don't work. The area where I live, I have to use a walker most of the time.
Correct.
It's flooded because the water's leaking all night long, coming down the hill. My whole section.
Irrigation water?
Yeah, for the sprinklers, all that. Up above me is a lady who's almost 80 years old. She can't even come out because it's all flooded in that area. And every month, my water bill keeps going up. And that gentleman there, Tony, keeps telling me because Big Bend is raising their rates, and I just spoke to the man outside.
Okay, let's not get accusatory. Just say that correct.
I spoke to the man from Big Bend that was out there, and he said, we do not raise our rates.
Guys, keep it down, please, so we can hear.
That the water rates are not raised.
We had one raised a couple of years ago, but there hasn't been
And
additional.
I'm being told it's because
But
they're
I
raised.
don't know how Crown Point is handled. In other words, if they receive one water bill and then they disseminate it across, so if it's, say, $100 and they disseminate it across 100 apartments, it's $1 a piece. I don't know how they're billed. So do they bill you, or do you get a bill directly from the water department?
They build.
They being Crown Point.
Yeah, right. Every month I have to call to find out what my rent is, and it's always a different rate.
Because of the water.
Right, and,
So,
and people
okay.
who live in the complex, there's 8 units in it, they're getting different ones than me, and I'm like, we're in the same one, how could we all be?
Okay, so you're basically saying you have irrigation flooding and the water bill keeps going up and you're paying the price for the water that is a deferred maintenance or neglected for the flooding and irrigation.
And there's constantly cars parked in fire lanes. I keep complaining. One, where I park at, my designated spot, there was a truck behind it for 9 days. I kept telling them, could you please tow it, get it out of the way? I'm having trouble. My wife is having trouble backing the vehicle. 9 days it was there.
Okay.
And it's just an ongoing thing. I've called people. I spoke to a man by the name of Michael Naft. And he said, there's nothing we can do, but I get nothing but complaints about it. Even today I had a problem because my wife and I lost our dog last week. We had it for 11 and a half years, so when I went to the office, they said, our dog passed away, take that off the rent. Well, we need to see proof of it.
Wow.
So I said, well, would you like to come by? And they took the $25 off. Today, they billed me for the $25. I had to go back down. And then Tony said, well, we need to see proof of it. I showed you the proof last week.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you, whether you realize it or not, you gave us a few things here that are very valid and that we can follow up on, and hopefully we can't change what they're charging for rent, but maybe some of the environment situation we
I just think it's a lot of
can.
people coming from socialist California, and it's supply and demand, and they're jacking the rents up to take advantage of it.
Right, I understand, and I wish it was different, but I do understand. And I appreciate you coming and talking to us. Please, thank you. Anyone else, public comment, please come to the podium. Ma'am, there's a gentleman that needs assistance. Oh, okay, all right, thank you. All right. Well, I don't know if that always helps.
Hi, I'm
but-
Marlene Merrigan. I know you don't want to hear about the rent increase. I'm complaining about that too, but it's Marlene and Merrigan, Merrigan. I want to talk about the code violations at Vista Creek Apartments.
Okay, Vista Creek then?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
It's probably the busiest place for the police officers because there's anywhere from 3 to 9 cars that come and go, or one night it was 9 cars parked in front of the office there. Of course, nobody's there. At 5 o'clock, the pool gets locked with a chain and a padlock. We can't swim there. The hours say 10 p.m. They just make up their own rules. We have a fence that's 4-foot wall between us and Vintage, and it's got a rope tied to it and a stake in the ground. We have a tree down by, building 14. It's got 2 2x4s holding the tree up. It needs to be removed. They do nothing. A carport was hit by a moving truck, so they got that tied up with a rope and a piece of wood tied to a little tree down here. I mean.
That's a parking structure?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, if somebody has to get hurt or killed
So
before
you're
somebody
saying
does
unsafe,
something.
yeah, where children could be injured or
Oh,
people.
absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
We have retaining walls 3 foot high that the bricks, I think when it was built 10, 12 years ago, I've been living there 8 years and it's gotten worse and worse and worse. They just put some silicone between the bricks. Of course, that's all deteriorated and the bricks are falling off. And yeah, it's a family unit, they have little kids running around there. And nobody cares. I don't know, I'm just disgusted. Railings. They've been locked in that office forever. They probably never will come out. You have to call, make an appointment. When you knock on the door, you better have an appointment or they won't answer. The other day I was at the pool. First time I'd been there all year, and the gal in the office said, if you're gonna be out of the water, you gotta wear a mask. I told her to go back to her cage. At 5 o'clock, they chain and padlock, so you can't use your key to get in. And one gate is broken, will never open, needs to be replaced. I mean, nothing's being done, and I think there should be some kind of county, city inspector that goes around and sees how safe these things are. The pool during the holiday, I was over there on Friday and they said, now remember, we're gonna keep it locked on Sunday and Monday. And I said, for what? It's a holiday. It's over 100 degrees. We want to use the pool. And they go, well, just because. Well, when I went over there, the chain was off. But the pool was so cloudy that the 10, 12 people that came down at different times when I was sitting out there sunning myself, they turned around and left because the pool was too dirty. I mean, so the filter system isn't working. I called the pool gal in Vegas. I got a hold of her number. They said it was just inspected.
Okay. Do you, when it comes to pool stuff, I will tell you, that is the 3 minutes, but I will tell you that you can call the Southern Nevada Health District would be where you would go on any swimming pool. And I will tell you, we have a resident person here, and they will be out fast. That's their goal.
Well, the
Because
gal-
it's also a drowning issue if the water is turbulent.
The gal in Vegas said she would have the gal from Laughlin that checks the casino pools go up there and check that pool, because
You can just go on Southern Nevada Health District and where the swimming pool is concerned. And if you have any additional notes, you're welcome to leave them with us today, because that is the 3 minutes of the meeting or of the presentation. I do have a question of our liaison. I know we have the Clark County Building Department does, this wouldn't be on the scope of them. What would this type of safety, because my concern, so I know my businesses, it would be OSHA. If I had 2x4s holding up trees and things like that, and blocks falling down and deferred maintenance issues. In my restaurant that were by my landlord, I would get a hold of OSHA if I couldn't resolve it with my landlord. But where would the scope lie within Clark County?
This would be a lot of code enforcement issues, being that they could probably set a request to let them know what these conditions are that are not livable or safe, and then someone from the county will be able to go out there and investigate. I'll definitely touch base with Tammy as well, and we can kind of coordinate.
Yeah, I think we're going to be talking to code enforcement soon.
Yeah. So we'll definitely, these are great comments to know what's going on, because all these residents are eyes and ears in the community.
Correct.
And once we know, we're able to document it and go through the proper channels to get everything taken correctly. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
Can I
you.
say just one more thing?
Just quickly, please.
When they lock the gate, or whatever, even when the gate is open and we're in there swimming, our key is supposed to work at the gate and at the bathroom. The bathroom doesn't work, so the two little girls that had a key the other day, they just jumped
Talking to the
back in
mic,
pool.
please.
Okay.
And I called the house.
Okay, you're off the speaker, but I heard you. I understand. So the pool is open is what you're saying, but the bathrooms are not, which could be the reason that the water's cloudy. Unfortunately, that's not attractive at all. Okay, so anyone else, please come to the podium. Gentleman here is coming. And state your name and address for the record. And like I said, again, if you have written comments, please leave them with us. You have 3 minutes, but I don't want to, discount anything you have to say.
I do court and staff and observers. I've been at Crown Point, one of my second year, and it's more than a safety issue with me. Just give me a second here. Okay. First 9 months I was living there was good. I was paying $340 a month. 9 months, okay. My 10th month.
I'm sorry, sir. We did get your name again. Could you
I'm
please?
so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My name's Stephen Wilhite. Last name is Willhite. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, the 10th month, I was double dipped. Meaning I was charged 2 months of rent. Oh gosh. Okay. I don't like to be out in public much.
I understand. That's
Okay,
why we
and this
said
is
if
really
you have
hard for me.
something in writing, you're more than welcome.
Okay, give me a moment.
Sure.
Okay, it was over $1,300 I was charged March of 2020. It was for two separate billings. First billing was for $675 due March 3rd, and the second billing was $675 due March 31st. That was the billing that I got. So 2 months in one, I paid 2 months for 1 month, basically. Okay. I was good after that for a little while until my renewal, which was on 7/1/2020, and it was for the same amount, $650 a month. My following bill was, let's see, okay, here we go. What did I do with it? I really do have this in order. Okay, my second bill was on September 1st for $1,336. That was 1 month after I renewed my lease. And that went on for 2 months. And the remainder months after that until now, I've only received a water bill. And that's almost 11 months water bills only. That was through Crown Point. And the remainder, I had to go to the door a day after my rent due to find out what my tally was on the ledger. That's the only reason why it balanced out from that time till now.
Because you had paid double rent back in prior months.
Yeah, just COBA, was like on the 6th, I believe it was. No, 13th, March 13th, right? Mm-hmm. My first bill was March 3rd, and then March 31st.
Correct.
So that's all I'm saying. Okay, the last 11 months was water bill only, and it was for average of $30-some. But I'm sorry, here we go. My water dispute, 11/01, October 1st, 2020, was for $776.85. That was my billing for November. And 102 of that was for water dispute from my $650 a month that I should be paying. Plus the utilities, another $30 on top of that. And that's all I got. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Or comments?
No, and if you have some of that
I
documentation
have a whole
in writing.
documentation. This is a brief.
Okay.
I got facts, names, and dates and everything that you need to
But I
follow
would
up.
just think if you wanted to leave the brief with us, that would be fine.
For my own personal thing, I'm going to be on the street July 1st, and there's no place I can go. I even went to a boat and trailer storage facility so I could sneak around and have a place to sleep. That's what's going to happen to me in about less than 20 days.
In July 1st, okay.
Less than 20 days. I'm a 68 Vietnam veteran with a permanent disability, 20% body disability. And I'll be living in the sunshine with my address as my... Very sad. Thank you so much.
That is.
Very sad. Thank you for your concern.
Thank you.
Welcome to Laughlin. Amen.
Okay, thank you. I know. Find a solution. Okay, anyone else, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, board members. Nice to be here. My name is Roger, R-O-G-E-R, Forster, F-O-R-S-T-E-R. I live in Crown Point Apartments, apartment 12H, H as in horse. I want to say a little disclaimer. I'm here on my own accord. I'm not part of any particular Crown Point group. I don't necessarily or do share views of people who spoke before me or after. These are mine and only mine.
Certainly.
I know this is a complicated issue, and I want to just kind of focus on one aspect of it, which basically touches on what this gentleman said as he left. I wasn't aware of any rate increases at all. Crown Point puts out what we call them, just letters to everyone. And we got one maybe not even 2 months ago, and it was something like, you people in May and June and fair market value, and it was vague. And I thought it was pertaining to the COVID situation, because I understand some people were getting breaks and leniency and whatnot. I didn't pay it much mind until about 2 weeks ago when, in fact, the gentleman that's going to speak after me put notices on everybody's door. And it was news to me. And if I may just quickly, what I'm going to talk about is if they're gonna give, and I'm talking about management, if they're gonna give enough time, not just 30, 60 days like this gentleman saying, July 1st, beat it, you know, that there can be some extension or moratorium or something that you can say, okay, you can stay a little bit longer. I know through a little bit because I didn't know who was gonna be here. I know there's Crown Point Management here. And I'm speaking from the heart. I know Tony. I've been here 5 years and he's a straight shooter. And I hope he continues to be that way. And I know there's things that are out of his control, but I haven't spoken to management on this issue, so maybe I'm putting my foot in my mouth about things. I don't know if there's still a moratorium on evictions because of COVID or if that's lifted or whatever the deal is. But if I may quickly, my gentleman put this on my door and everyone's door. This is dated May 14th. And the letter says that his lease increase is going up $400. And his lease agreement is over on July the 3rd, the day before the 4th of July. Okay? So then on the bottom paragraph, it says, and I'll read it for word, it says, if you are planning to leave at the end of your lease, we would like to remind you that a 30-day written notice of your intent to vacate is required. So if you do the math, if his lease date is the 3rd of July, you go back 30 days, that's the 6th of June, or I'm sorry, the 3rd of June, right? That's 30 days. But then if you go from the 3rd of June to the letter, May 14th, that's 20 days. So that in effect, they gave him 20 days to decide if he's gonna leave. And then after that, if he decides to and gives him that letter, now he's got a month to get out. Now, some people may have the means to make that kind of quick decision. And I've talked to some neighbors, they don't have that means, just like this gentleman. I talked to two people, their rent was up June 1st. One didn't want to renew, they wanted to leave, they went up to Mesquite to buy a home. But there was a backlog, and they said, we can't have a home for you for 6, 8, 10 months maybe. They put a deposit down on a new home. Well, they had to stay here. So they signed a new 1-year lease, which is the lowest amount, but still at the higher, newer rate.
Right.
Another couple.
Sir, that is our 3-minute, our time limit for this.
Okay, but you get the gist of this. I don't know.
So what you're saying is basically they gave him 30 days, and this is being enforced. We had another lady speak earlier that it's arbitrary, the dollar amounts and the time limits to be able to be accomplished, to locate a new place and stuff.
My case, I'm fortunate because my lease is good till the end of the year, so I have a time frame.
Correct.
But just like this gentleman spoke before, you may not be able to find anything in 30, 60 days, or if you have to get a job to supplement the increase. It doesn't just snap
And that
your
could
finger.
be something we may be able to help with,
So
like the gentleman that just left here.
you know.
Yeah, the gentleman that just left here, I think 3 of us here were like, okay, let's see what we can, do between, the Rotary and the Legion and stuff like that.
You know, I'm sure, unfortunately, it's very complicated, but I'm sure, unfortunately, there are going to be some people that are going to have to leave. That's probably a fact of life.
Yes.
But at least those that have to leave, cut them a little slack so they can get
With
out.
an allowance and a time,
Right,
and
very
perhaps,
good.
working with the landlord too, with stuff like that. with
Right.
Funding or providing another month or a couple of months
Sure.
if there's some type of grant money out there. So that would be something that we'll look into as well. But I appreciate your time, and like I said, if there's any comments you want to leave with us, you're welcome
That's
to.
it. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Okay? So whoever's next, please.
Gina Hogan, and I live at 3665 Needles Highway. I understand the
Crown Point, am I right?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
thanks.
I understand the hardship on a landlord this last year. My husband and I have been residents of Crown Point for almost 8 years. And after we moved into this area because it fit. We felt like it fit. We are moving out very soon. And not just because of this issue. The money's a big issue, and lots of people are going to suffer badly. We've already made arrangements. We have a place to go. But it didn't just happen. 2 years after we moved in, that place was beautiful. I mean, everything that was green was supposed to be green. There were no leaks. There were no dangerous areas where there was sand flow where people would fall. I had a friend that lived there that fell and almost lost his life after he and his wife had reported no lighting, the lack of lighting. And this went on for months, because I went up with her a couple of times on my own complaints to fix the lighting, the irrigation that would wash down, and it's like walking on glass. It's not just one area, it's several areas. The iron supports for the people that have to go up and down the stairs, rotten. Nobody, and if you go, and I try to understand, Tony's caught in the middle. I try to understand they can't do a lot for him. I don't understand where the communication gap goes from our office to the owner. Now, 7 years ago, the owner took care of business. We've not had anybody take care of anything since then. Little emergent things, you go to the office, they say they can't do it. Little lady stood outside her door this last week in over 100-degree weather because she could not get into her apartment. My husband notified the office thinking it was a key situation and was told that they were on their lunch hour and they would not respond. That little lady she can barely walk. My husband's 85 years old and we can get along, but that's ridiculous. That's a lack of humanity. So I will miss Laughlin and what I thought it was gonna be, but I am out of here, guys.
I understand.
Sorry to see you go. We need more people like you.
So,
I'm the main show here.
you are, okay. We were waiting patiently.
I have a 15-minute presentation.
Well.
So you said you don't want to give me time. I have enough people here. Raise your hands if you want to give me your time. So you tell me whether I can speak.
Will you promise me 15 minutes?
15 minutes.
Okay, I'll give you 15 minutes. And he brings charts. Is that your phone number? You're going to give us your name and address, but you're posting your phone number.
I give you my permission to use it, and I give you two.
Okay. So go ahead and state your name and address for those of us that aren't aware of you.
My name is Bradley Beck. I live at Crown Point, 43B.
B-E-C-K, if I'm right.
The title of my presentation today is The Last Resort. That comes from Hotel California. As I don't believe in violence of any kind, contrary to those who chose that route on January 6th, I reference the First Amendment to the Constitution for the justification for this speech. From a 1936 re-election speech by FDR. We had to struggle with the old enemies of peace, business and financial monopoly, speculation, reckless banking, class antagonism, sectionalism, war profiteering. They had begun to consider the government of the United States as a mere appendage to their own affairs. We now know that government by organized money is just as dangerous as government by organized mob. Never before in all our history have these forces been so united against one candidate as they stand today. They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred. From a speech by the legendary civil rights advocate, John Lewis. Ours is not a struggle of one day, 1 week, or 1 year. Ours is not the struggle of one judicial appointment or presidential term. Ours is the struggle of a lifetime, or maybe even many lifetimes, and each one of us in every generation must do our part. As the Young Turks would say, change only happens when you speak truth to power. I am here today to, in the words of Mr. Lewis, get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America. I want to begin by saying I apologize deeply to the residents of Laughlin and Crown Point for not doing this sooner, but prior to the worldwide pandemic we all just experienced,
I was all about me, just like most people on this planet. But getting COVID last year brought me back to my core beliefs, and facing possible death, I realized I didn't want to meet my Creator without giving back to the planet I was blessed to grow up on. So you might say I had a religious experience that taught me that we've all lost our way. We should all be more caring of those less fortunate than ourselves and to our world, and if we all did this, the world would be a much better place. As the Beatles once said, in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. After having a fairly bad experience with COVID last year, in late September, I had an issue with bed bugs. I was told by Crown Point that, due to me signing a bed bug addendum to my lease, I would have to have their company do the extermination. After 2 treatments and still getting bit, I called my own company and eventually sued Crown Point, giving substantial evidence to support my claim, along with other 15 pictures showing bites at various times throughout my ordeal. Your judge, Timothy Atkins, a former electronics salesman, wouldn't allow the pictures and said that if Crown Point said they got rid of my problem, then I was either lying or mistaken about the continuing problem, despite me having pictures with metadata showing when each picture was taken. He didn't even know what metadata is. A little background on myself. I'm a 54-year-old disabled veteran. My family can be traced back in this country to the 1600s, when they came here as indentured servants. They fought in the Revolutionary War, and some fought for the North and some for the South during the Civil War. My grandfather fought in Iwo Jima during World War II, and my dad was in Germany during the same war in 1945. I was raised in Arcadia, California, a middle-class suburb of Los Angeles, now known as the Asian Beverly Hills. I was the poster boy for white privilege, but thanks to the Lord, I didn't get my inheritance. It went into a trust for my mentally ill brother, thus I was forced to make my own way in life. I joined the California National Guard, where I served for 10 honorable years, gained the rank of sergeant. Then when I became disabled, went to college, graduated with honors with a BS in geology and archaeology from Cal State Northridge and the University of Wyoming, along with being awarded the top graduating senior in my department. Then worked in the oil industry as a geologist during the last economic collapse and its aftermath. I learned to take it when they told me I couldn't buy a house and I'd have to settle for an apartment. I took it when they said I'd have to get 2 jobs, then 3. I took it when I became homeless for 2 weeks while waiting for unemployment to kick in 2015 when the oil industry tanked. I took it when they said it would be cheaper in Nevada. I even took it when I got screwed over by Crown Point and Judge Atkins regarding bedbugs. But to quote Peter Finch from the great movie Network, which I saw in the theater with my divorced dad the year of our bicentennial at the age of 9, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Crown Point now wants to raise my rent 75% to $1,150 in July, despite others paying less and the Vistas charging $889 for a 1-bedroom right across the street. I want to know why I don't deserve to live in this town anymore, because now I don't even qualify for the apartment I'm living in with my income, let alone others who are less fortunate than myself and who are trying to exist on Social Security alone or who make a minimum wage. Since your website uses the phrase one board, one mission, that gives me the opportunity to refer to you all as one corrupt, uncaring non-human instead of 5. You people want to build a multi-million-dollar off-road racing complex while no affordable housing has been built in Laughlin since the 80s. When I heard the grandson of the old billionaire that started this town came up with the idea, I had to look it up just to see if the old boy was still kicking. And sure enough, the old billionaire is still alive. I'm sure Don Laughlin's version of trickle-down economics is pissing on all the poor people that walk below his multi-million-dollar suite at the top of the Riverside Hotel. Evidence of this is that his family just recently spent $22 million on a 4-month renovation of their hotel, the Riverside, which includes, I quote, "Every room has been practically gutted with wallpaper and popcorn ceilings and new texture and paint on walls. The rooms will have new carpet, new furniture, new mattresses, new pillows, new linens, new artwork, new TVs, and new refrigerators in every room. Where's my new carpet, my new blinds, my new refrigerator?"
I gave you 15 minutes, but we need to be on the point of what this is about, because going after the founders of this community is not to the point.
To just 7% of the $316 million the Laughlin family made last year. Couldn't they have spent that on new amenities for the residents of Laughlin? Another 7% wouldn't break them, would it? Then you have Bob Bilbray, who owns the other half of this town. I'd love to tell you how he feels about the lack of affordable housing, but he won't return my calls. Now here's a 90-year-old billionaire that started this town. Then the town erected a statue to the guy that sits in the center of town. How come we don't get a cut of the billions he made off of the blood, sweat, and tears of the workers in Laughlin who made him wealthy like the residents of Alaska do for all the oil profits the state makes? According to the internet, the Riverside Hotel and Casino made
Mr. Beck, again, Mr. Beck, you need to get to the point.
$2,133 per person for every man, woman, and child in
Mr.
town.
Beck, your time here is to help us understand the problem. I see what this is, and you're welcome to explain that as far as the 75% increase. But going after the people in this community is not helpful.
Madam Chair.
Oh, I can take that time as well, sir.
Shout out to Representative Katie Porter for the use of the whiteboard. Let's do some basic math. Minimum wage in Nevada in a Laughlin family casino or a Bilbray business is $9.75. It's written right there. For our purposes, let's use 10. That's $400 per week, $1,600 per month. If the basic rent is roughly $1,000 per month, and you need to have at least $2,500 or 2.5 times income for rent, how can you rent anywhere in Laughlinville? Did you know Don wanted to call the town Casino when it first started? I suggest we change the name to Greed, Nevada. Why bullshit? When the average Social Security payment is $1,500, again, how can you rent anywhere in Laughlin and have a decent quality of life? Is this not economic discrimination against the poor, disabled, working class, and veterans? Yes. According to Payscale.com, the average hourly rate in Laughlin, Nevada is $12.16 before taxes, even though the minimum wage is $9.75. The top three jobs are porter, $9.75, line cook, $11, and administrative assistant, $13. Then security, $11, bartender, $8, I guess because of tips, front desk, $10. Trends in wages actually decreased by 2.3% in the first quarter of 2021. The cost of living, on the other hand, increased by 9% and is higher than the national average. The most popular employer is the Riverside Casino. Go figure. So let's take someone who makes $12.16, the average wage in Laughlin. Not sure what that person does, since all the above jobs are lower. Well, let's assume it's an administrative assistant. That works out roughly to $1,835 per month. $1,800, we'll just round it off. Minus $1,000 for rent, you're left with $800. After paying $1,000 for rent, a conservative figure, you're left with $800. Utilities and phone, $200. Gas, $200. Food, $300. Insurance, $100. Internet and TV, since we don't have television access, $100. That leaves a big fat minus $100. How do you think people can survive on the poverty wages you, the Laughlin family, and Bilbray families pay your employees, let alone have a decent quality of life while you jet set around without a care in the world? From the U.S. Census Bureau's website, population of Laughlin in 2020, 7,502. Number of employees, 2,326. Number of veterans, 1,435, or 20% of Laughlin are veterans. Percent over 65, 42%. Building permits for affordable housing 2020, 0. Percent people with disability under 65, 23%. Percent in poverty, 16%. That's 1 out of every 7 people. From your website, this is the new Laughlin Town Advisory Board, uniquely qualified to serve on the board. Every member brings their own substantial qualities, which include a very sincere desire to do what's best for the Laughlin family, the Bilbray family, and their descendants. Kathy Oakes, 1,807 votes. Yep, ex-cop, CEO of a franchise, landlord, and millionaire. Just the right qualifications to lead a town of mostly poor people. You say you're a Christian, and your quote is, proposing to take Laughlin forward into the future.
And then we stop.
Future for who? Stock market investors and billionaire gambling casino magnates? According to the government, you got 2 disbursements of the PPP program for your limited liability corporation, KEO.
Mr. Beck, your time is up. Mr. Beck,
2020,
Mr. Beck, your time is up.
You're
Mr.
done.
Beck,
Another
I'm asking you to leave or
$269
Metro will forcibly remove you. Mr. Beck, this is enough. We're done. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It's enough. Okay,
Madam Chair,
please.
may I make a statement
Sure.
real quick, please? None of this is solved by badgering the people who founded our town and have brought it to this position. I also want to remind people that this is a brand-new board. They have never heard of these issues before. So to talk about removing the people from the board and badgering them is not going to do anything. You guys are brand new on the board, and we're hoping that one board, one mission will make a difference. I believe this is the first you've heard of this issue, and I believe that
It's the first I've heard of it, and I've sat here now going on 20 years.
I just want
So,
to remind people you are a new board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah, and this has never come before this board, anything of this nature, and we are trying to take a lot of time to address it and to see what we can do to help the population. But everyone needs to understand the reality that is before us. We cannot control what they're charging for rent. There's ways we can help people. There's subsidies. There's different assistance programs. There are income qualified residences. What is the new complex? Can anyone? What is the new complex that is in Laughlin? Heritage? I want to say Heritage. That's over by the high school. No, it's I don't know.
Yeah, it's Vista Creek.
Is it called Vista
Yeah.
Creek?
Yeah.
I was thinking the Vistas. I'm sorry, that's where
Yeah.
I run into my
Vista
problem.
Creek.
Okay.
We have
But
the Vista Creek and the Vintage are the newest ones.
the Vintage, is the Vintage subsidized?
Yeah, no, it's
And it is subsidized, and it's for seniors?
seniors.
55. Jordan, do you happen to know, is the Vintage, is that it?
Yes,
Yeah.
the
Is
Vintage.
that, because that's my hair salon's there, why can I not think of this? But is that where the, it's subsidized, is that where you have like a 2-year wait?
Yes.
No, ma'am, that's the Riverside. The turnover is a little higher at the Vintage.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, there's very little in the way of vacancy at that property. And there are minimum income requirements. It's not the same sort of situation as the Riverside. So there are certain subsidies involved in that. And I believe it's actually not an FHA program, but a USDA program, a Rural Housing Service. But to be precise on that, I'm not aware of exactly what the requirements are. But it's not subsidized anything near to the way that the Riverview is.
I see.
Riverwood, not
yeah,
Riverside.
We knew what you meant, yeah, we knew, because Riverside is not an apartment complex.
The Vintage and Vista Creek were built, as I recall, some of you were here during the hearings before this board to approve the construction. As I recall, it was built under a housing program, not from the Department of
Urban Housing and Affairs.
Urban Development,
Yeah.
but the Department of Agriculture, because that's the agency that has a responsibility for a lot of economic community development in rural areas. But through the Rural Housing Service and the Department of Agriculture, as I recall. It's not the same level of subsidization that exists in Riverview, and it is a different program. And basically is, as I understand it, there's a sliding scale based on your income, and then a certain amount of that is subsidized. But
I know there's like rural energy assistance programs as well that are here in this area.
there are well, that's another issue that I'm taking up with the Clark County Department of Community and Economic Development. There's some new funding coming in for our rural internet. That's another conversation about infrastructure another time right now. But anyway, so there is a certain degree of subsidization with the Vintage and Vista Creek, but it's not at the same level as Riverview. There are minimum income requirements for those.
And Madam Chair, my understanding with checking for those veterans that's called me, there is no availability.
Yeah,
There, okay.
that still is.
It was just something I was thinking.
We still have the
was
basic
available.
lack of supply.
Correct.
I will tell you, just to address that, right now, we're working on land use update. It's one of the committees that I'm on with Title 30. And one of the things that we had talked about is the whole industrial, what was considered industrial, the old power plant. We have talked about doing mixed-use development,
Right.
which would allow, high-density housing, apartments, and that type of stuff. I mean, it would make that in the center of town, where the bus is accessible and stuff. It would also provide for retail. Those won't, that's, the switching station will be separate. Where that will be is not gonna be the same. We're talking that whole area from all the way from Needles Highway, all the way to, Woodbury and down. So this is not your forum, okay? You've had your 3 minutes and you keep speaking. Okay. Is there anyone else with public comment that would like to speak or be heard before this board? Please. Hello.
My name is Sue Hoffenstein, Hafenstein. I moved here 19 years ago because I needed a place to start over. And this has been a perfect place. I've lived at Crown Point that whole time. And my rent has gone up every year. Just a little, some just a little more. The best thing that ever happened to me was when the stock market crashed in 2008, because then they wanted us to stay. They wanted people to stay in the apartment, so they put us back to where we should have been.
They adjusted back down.
Correct. My hope is that since I have only been late with my rent for once, that I am encouraging the people who run these places to keep the people who are paying their bills. I am at the poverty level. I will be out if I get much more taken out of my rent. So I'm just hoping maybe we can work that somehow. All right? Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, please.
My name is still John Hollid. Still
Can you repeat that?
H-O-L-O-D.
Can you repeat your name, please?
John Hollid, H-O-L-O-D. All right, that works too. Like everyone else, I'm living at Crown Point, and I've been there for 6 years. In that time, with the proposed rent increase, my rent will have gone up 138%. And we receive essentially nothing for it. The parking lot has potholes that are 14, 15 inches deep sometimes. The pools are closed. The laundry facilities are frequently closed, and when they're open, they're disgusting. Landscaping, dead or dying. The dumpsters regularly are overflowing. There are cars that have sat idle for years. Just flat tires, and they never move. The security gate has sat open since at least 2018. There's no security guard anymore. If there is, no one ever sees them. The exterior lighting on the building is non-existent. The water has been turned off 16 times in the past calendar year. I have one toilet that runs constantly if I don't turn the water off, and the other just won't flush unless I'm dumping chemicals into it and plunging it like mad. And showing up late to work because I'm sorry I couldn't flush my toilet after 8 tries kind of seems a little stupid. My bathtub faucet at one point ran for 4 consecutive days before anyone arrived to fix it. I've spent more than 20 days in the last 6 years in a hotel because my air conditioner was broken. It took them 5 days to send a repairman the first time, 13 to send someone the second time. For comparison, it takes NASA 3 days to send a man to the moon. It takes Crown Point 13 days to send a man to an apartment. I have 2 working burners on my stove. My oven has some random wire hanging from the roof, so I can't use anything but the bottom rack. In the winter, my hot water heater only provides 12 minutes of water. Maintenance requests take forever to be responded to, if they're responded to at all. I even filed a complaint with the Better Business Bureau against Crown Point, and Better Business Bureau couldn't even get in contact with them. I have an email printed out showing that they have given up trying to get Crown Point to do anything. Talking to management at the office is largely a fruitless endeavor. If you can get them, which more often than not you can, but the answer is almost always no. And trying to get the actual ownership group on the phone or through email is impossible. In fact, the contact section of their website of Pioneer Property Management, the contact section leads to a website or leads to a page that says page not found. And the phone number provided at the bottom of the website almost never gets answered. Emails are never responded to. And considering all of this, they still think that they need more of our money. For what? That's it. If you'd like the emails about water being shut off, I've got those. If you'd like the Better Business Bureau email, I've got that. That's all I have to say. It's terrible.
Thank you. Thank you for your input. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay. Is there, just quickly, maybe we can answer it. No,
She has to go to the microphone.
we can't hear you. You would have to go to the microphone. And what you're saying is fair market value?
Yes.
In other
Last
words,
time I checked, fair market value means equal and level. So if my apartment is a 3-bedroom apartment, this is a 3-bedroom apartment with a washer and dryer. They're not comparable, correct?
Right.
If I don't have a washer and dryer in this unit, but this one does, they're not comparable. This one I would expect to charge more than this one, correct?
I think the term is arbitrary, but fair market value, not necessarily, because that's supply and demand.
You can't charge the same thing for an apartment that doesn't have the same amount.
Correct, that's arbitrary. In other words, it's
But that's
different,
what
different dollar amounts of rent that are being raised and different, yeah.
That's one of the problems we're talking about. We're being charged for something that's
Correct,
much
yeah,
nicer.
and I did get that earlier, but not, pertaining to apartments.
Madam Chair?
Please, Mr. Walker.
This is just for consumption by the people who have remained here. Most of the questions that I have heard have some sort of a legal premise to them. And
Mr. Walker is an attorney.
To you that this board is not qualified to give any legal advice. They won't, they can't. I would suggest to you that you contact the State Bar of Nevada, headquarters for which are in Las Vegas. They have what they call a pro bono committee. The pro bono committee gives legal advice and guidance at no charge. And they have competent attorneys that provide service to that board. And there's an internal recognition within the Bar Association for people who contribute hours to the pro bono committee. So I would suggest that some of you, or at least one of your spokesmen, make contact with the Bar Association, get the information on the pro bono committee, who to contact on that committee, and make the contact. You may get some specific direction on resolution of the problems that you have.
If you have an Esquire at the end of your letter, it helps get attention. Yes. So, yep. Okay.
Hi, Doug Wesley, Westly. She knows who I am. I figured I was sitting back there, and if I don't say anything, I'm going to hate myself. So, I got to say that I've been rich and I've been poor. When I say rich, I don't mean Learjet. I mean making a heck of a lot more money than I do now. 20 years ago, when I decided to go into ministry work, I didn't realize I was signing up to live in poverty, but I have. And we live, my wife and I, we do okay. We have a little 800 square foot apartment. I have a 2008 car. But I got to say this is just wrong. It's just wrong. These are people's homes. This is their livelihood. This is where they live. You know, I live in this little apartment, and I have a landlord, and we're afraid of him. We're scared of this guy. Why should I be afraid of this guy? You know, I'm 64 years old. I worked my whole life. You know, when it's somebody's home, it's where they live. It's where their families are. It's where their dogs are. It's where their kids are. And I think when somebody becomes a landlord, they have a responsibility. They have a responsibility. Isn't just, I'm going to make money off my property. They have a responsibility to the livelihoods of the people that are renting their properties from them. I told my wife the other day, I never want to be a landlord because it's a huge responsibility. Taking care of toilets and taking care of broken down doors and all the stuff you have to take care of. I've been into some properties here in Laughlin over the past 20 years that I'm not going to tell you the names of these complexes, but doors are falling off in the homes. There's mold. It's horrible conditions. And the landlords, I guess, are getting money from the government. I don't know how they're getting their money. But you know, this kind of thing is heartless. I was back there, I was in tears. I wasn't thinking I could be able to talk into the mic. This is so heartbreaking. $500 increase? That's insane. That's insane. How in the world can somebody afford this? And the only thing we can do about it is go in there and say, the toilets are terrible and the walls are falling down, the doors don't work, so we're going to fine you. I mean, it's unfortunate that you guys can't do anything about it, other than the things we talked about. But it's got to be said. This, you know, I'm going to be praying about this because this is gosh darn heartbreaking. These are people's livelihoods. My gosh. It is. It hurts. I think God made me the way I am today so I could feel this stuff. When I was making all this money, I don't think I had the heart. But now that I've had nothing, I can feel what these people feel. I feel it. I feel it.
This board does as well.
We feel it. But something else I want to say to everybody. I know every one of the people on this board here, and they become good friends of mine. I can honestly tell you that Kathy, this is nobody's business, but I can tell you this. I know her very well. She's like a sister to me. And she paid her employees every dime during the COVID when her restaurants were closed down, and she didn't make a penny. It cost her everything. She lost everything to do this. She told me this, and you haven't given me permission to tell anybody this, Kathy, but you lost everything to do this. She paid her people every single month. Nobody lost a dime during COVID. Now, how many business owners would do that? How many?
No.
I'm telling you, how many business owners would do that? This is a stellar group of people here, and they've just started. Please, they've just started. And they really care. These are excellent, high-quality people, and I can't apologize for somebody else said, but I'd almost want to apologize for anybody saying anything negative about any of you guys. I've been to every single meeting here for 8 years, every single meeting, and I can tell you this is a stellar group of people, absolutely stellar group of people. We're lucky to have them. We're absolutely lucky to have them. God bless all of you. I just hope there could be an answer to this. I'm going to pray that our God steps in and helps fix this thing. You know, I tell you what, if I had a $500 rate increase or $1,000, I think I'd be boiling over too. I would be. I mean, you guys are probably panicked. I mean, absolutely panicked. How are you going to do this? I get it. I mean, man, that's unconscionable. How can somebody possibly have a conscience to do that, honestly?
And
anyway,
we'll try.
God bless you guys. You guys are, I love you. I love all you guys. I hope all this thing gets worked out.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, any other public comment? Okay, then I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting here today. It's been a lengthy one and a heartfelt one. Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. The motion is adjourned, or the motion carries and we are adjourned.